Right, we have been listening to testimony from the man that owns the gate company. There's the community that Granville Ritchie lived in was a gated community, and we just heard attorneys questioning Edward Wallace about a record of who entered the gate that day and so on and so forth. A little dry, a little technical. I want to bring in my guest who we have with us live this hour. Lisa Lockwood is a crime analyst as well as a former detective, and she's joining us live via Skype from Los Angeles. Thanks so much for being with us here, Lisa.
Thank you, Stacy.
Sorry, go ahead.
To be here. I was looking at the forensic data that was being displayed today, right now, and all gated communities have very similar systems where you're either going to get into the door alphabetically, get into the door using a code, or actually having the fob, the key card, which the residents normally have. So what they're trying to do is zero in on how many times that gate was opened and how many missteps when people put a wrong code in. That's also in there. They haven't gotten to that yet, but I'm certain that that'll show up because on both sides, they want to look at and corroborate the phone calls that Ebony had made to Granville to find out if it corroborated with the time that she was coming in and out of that gate.
Interesting. I'm glad you explained that for us. We know there were some issues initially when Ebony came back from purchasing the marijuana, and she had left Felicia there. She tried to buzz in and she couldn't get into the gate. It was only after that someone else let her into the gate that she got back in. So while this may seem quite technical, it is important, as you explain. Welcome back. Testimony continues in the Granville Ritchie case in Florida with the same witness on the stand talking about the records related to entry in and out of the gate at the complex where Granville Ritchie lived. Well, while that continues, I want to bring back my guest for a moment, Lisa Lockwood, to kind of talk about what's at stake here for the prosecution. Right before the break, you were talking about why this data could be important, but the prosecution really has a lot to prove in tying this little girl's murder to Granville Ritchie. What are some of the key elements they need to make sure to hit?
Well, the absence, first of all, the stories. The initial stories of where the child was. The child was in the house, the child was sent away. Go to CVS and look for the child. When initially Ebony returned with the drugs, she went to CVS. She did ask the child was missing. Surprised her. So that is great evidence, and we have video, and we also have testimony from the woman who worked at CVS to say that Ebony was indeed there, panicked and looking for the child. So her initial story of saying that the child was in the other room while the two of them were together sexually in another room, and then they came out and the child was gone. So all of these stories are just falling apart.
You know, I want to ask a question about Ebony, your thoughts. We know that she is facing charges which are pending for lying to law enforcement. But in your opinion, should she have faced any other charges, perhaps endangering the welfare of a child? I mean, no, she's not the child's guardian, but the little girl is 9 years old. She was, as we've learned already in the course of the trial, thought of as the little girl's godmother. She did bring him to this man's house, leave him with her to go out and buy drugs, and then, as you just said, tell a series of lies, perhaps even prolonging this investigation a little bit. So do you think that she should face any additional criminal charges?
We would want that. We would want the maximum because of the end result, obviously. But for prosecution to prove that she was in danger with this individual, that she was dating, did she have any stories or anything to corroborate that? Had he abused her? So if there was nothing there and no police record of him being a danger in any way, and she didn't know if he had a criminal background or not, it's going to be hard to prove that he would victimize the child in some way.
Yeah, I mean, no, did she have any evidence that he was violent or had any record? But she only knew him for about 4 days or something. You know, so that in of itself, I mean, you could say he was a stranger in essence, but understood it would be a tough case to prove. But yes, I think a lot of people watching this who feel heartbroken over the fate of this little girl would like to see that as well. Well, we're going to go back into the courtroom right now and listen to the rest of the testimony from this witness. Let's continue. So analysis of this data from the gate at Granville Ritchie's apartment complex continues. And Lisa, you said you think she was trying to draw attention to the code that perhaps Wiley had entered to try to get in, but was unsuccessful with.
That's right. Multiple times she had put in the code of 3 digits, 222, and Granville's mother's unit was 2222 to gain entrance. And we do know that she was under the influence. So trying to press the 222 and then the pound to get in, she was denied because she didn't have authority to get in using that code.
You know, in one sense, she is the key witness. She's the last one to see the girl alive. She admits she brought her there and led her to Granville Ritchie. But the inconsistencies in her story, the fact that she was under the influence, how much of a challenge does she also present in that sense for the prosecution?
Well, she does, because she had multiple stories. And then ultimately, in the end, when she was charged with giving false witness, she told the real story. And they knew that she had corroborated. They had planned a story of what they were going to tell the police. Granville wanted to be completely out of it and say, stick with the story that she was gone, I'm not involved, you lost her, and have her take all of the guilt for it. And because she was so enamored with him, obviously. And part of the story that proved to be true is the fact that after she knew and was aware the child was gone,
right,
they submit after that.
Yeah. Lisa, stay with us. We'll be right back with much more after this break.